Mining Industry by Gonzalo Ulloa Terán.
100 lectures of the mining process.
Cyber threats to the mining industry.
How do mining companies get compromised? The most common attack route by which companies get infiltrated is via targeted attacks. 1. The first step for a targeted attack is entry into the organization's network. 2. From there the attacker will try to leverage the initial point of entry to laterally move within the network and successfully compromise other systems. The challenge here is to find a reliable method for infecting the organization's computers. Some of the most commonly observed infection techniques. Step 1. Phishing and social engineering attacks. Malware used in targeted attacks are never spammed out to millions of potential victims. Instead, they are sent to a chosen few targets via phishing emails with effective social engineering laws. ICS security consultants, Digital Bond, conducted an experiment where they sent out spear phishing emails with an embedded link to key ICS personnel in different companies. They used open source intelligence, OSINT, to identify their spear phishing targets. 25% of the highly targeted recipients fell victim to the spear phishing attack and clicked on the link. Job titles of the victims typically include Control System Supervisor, Automation Technician, Equipment Diagnostic Lead, Instrument Technician, etc. Vulnerability exploitation. New software vulnerabilities are disclosed and patched every month by their respective vendors. Only a handful of these are successfully weaponized. Once weaponized, the vulnerabilities will be used in cyber attacks for years, e.g. CVE 2008 4841, CVE 2010 3333, CVE 2012 0158, CVE 2010 2568, etc. Exploits successfully compromise systems because patches for the vulnerabilities have not been routinely applied and many servers are still running OS which are no longer supported. Watering hole attacks. The attacker seeks to compromise a specific group of end users by infecting websites that members of the group are known to visit. The goal is to infect a targeted user's computer and leverage that to gain access to the network at the targeted user's place of employment. System misconfiguration exploitation. System misconfigurations can happen at any level of an application stack. The attacker discovers these flaws and exploits them to compromise the system. Example: an open directory in a web server may expose important files and configuration information that an attacker can leverage. Drive-by download attacks. Malware is automatically downloaded to the computer and executed without the user's consent or knowledge. Pop-up download windows that appear during regular web browsing require the user's consent to continue. Drive-by downloads can be initiated by simply visiting a website or viewing an HTML email message and requires no user interactions. Malvertising. Malvertising is the use of online advertising to spread malware. Malvertising involves injecting malicious or malware-laden advertisements into legitimate online advertising networks and web pages. This is an effective infection strategy when paired with watering hole attacks too. Third-party vendors. Attackers are successfully compromising contractors and third-party vendors and leveraging them as backdoor pathways into the targeted corporate networks. The national retailer Target was victimized in one of the largest credit card data breaches ever back in November 2013. It later emerged that the cyber criminals broke into Target's network via a third-party HVAC vendor who had access to Target's corporate network. Third-party vendors and contractors don't have uniform cybersecurity policies and practices. This creates exploitable weaknesses in the operations chain, as was demonstrated in the case of Target. Man in the middle, MIT-M. MIT-M are attacks where the attacker intercepts, alters, and relays communications between two systems, endpoints, parties who believe they are directly communicating with each other. The attacker must be able to intercept all relevant messages passing between the two victims, and either alters the messages or inject new ones. This is easy in many situations, e.g., an attacker within reception range of an unencrypted wireless access point can insert themselves as the man in the middle. MIT-M attacks aim to circumvent mutual authentication, or the lack thereof. A MIT-M attack is successful only when the attacker can correctly impersonate the endpoint's behavior as expected from the legitimate other end. Infected equipment. Manufacturers ship brand new equipment preloaded with malware. While this may sound unlikely, there have been recent examples such as Lenovo shipping laptops pre-installed with malware. In our conversations with IT security professionals working in different mining companies, stories of mining equipment coming preloaded with rather sophisticated malware such as Stuxnet were discussed many times. Insider job. Insider jobs are the most difficult infection vector to protect against as it involves people that the organization trusts, or who can abuse their privileges to commit crimes. These could be disgruntled or disillusioned employees out to take revenge, or could be unscrupulous individuals out to make some quick cash by victimizing their employers. Lateral movement, Step 2, involves activities related to reconnaissance, credential theft, and infiltrating other computers. Attackers compromise a machine inside an organization's network. Using the compromised machine as a beachhead, they will attempt to gain access to other networked computers and spread malware onto them. Lateral movement uses the victim's own resources against themselves. The attacker will use legitimate Windows OS features and tools used by IT administrators to move around the network. Lateral movement happens at human speed and takes time to succeed. Stealth is an important factor in lateral movement in order to remain undetected, penetrate deep inside the victim's network and stay there for as long as possible. Notable cyber attacks that have occurred. News stories about cyber attacks against the mining industry don't gain a lot of attention compared to news stories on cyber attacks targeting other industries such as retail, hospitality, technology, or more high-profile attacks targeted at banks or hospitals. We compiled a list of mining industry cyber attack stories between 2010 and now that demonstrates the actual impact of some of the cyber threats discussed in this research paper. This list shows that these attacks do occur and bring significant fallout. Date: April 2010. Victim: Rio Tinto Group, BHP Billiton Limited, and Fortescue Metal Groups. Description: mining giants Rio Tinto Group, BHP Billiton Limited, and Fortescue Metal Groups were all attacked by hackers originating from Asia. Experts believe that the main goal behind these attacks was commercial espionage. Date: February 2011. Victim: BHP Billiton. Description: BHP Billiton's boss, Marius Kloppers, confirmed that the main reason behind his push for market pricing of key commodities was espionage campaigns, run by nation-states and competitors, have penetrated deep inside BHP Billiton's business. Market pricing for key commodities minimizes any impact of differential information that one party or the other may hold. Date: April 2011. Victim: Australian Federal Parliament. Description: hackers broke into Australian federal parliamentary email accounts to gain access to email conversations between ministers and executives of Australian mining companies operating in China. Date: October and November 2011. Victim: Potash Corporation, law firms, and the Government of Canada's Finance Department and Treasury Board. Description: hackers attacked the secure networks of several law firms and eventually broke into computers of the Government of Canada's Finance Department and Treasury Board. They phished employees at these two departments with an email pretending to come from an Aboriginal group. The hackers were searching for insider information about a corporate takeover bid for the Potash Corporation of Saskatchewan. Date: February 2012. Victim: Lynas. Description: Lynas Corporation, a rare earth mining company, had its website hacked by hacktivists. Activists were protesting against the environmental impact of Lynas's operations in Malaysia. Date: July 2012. Victim: TVI Resource Development. Description: Canadian mining company TVI Resource Development, TVIRD, was discovered to be the victim of a sophisticated, vicious, and concerted cyber attack. Emails purportedly coming from TVIRD claimed murder and other criminal conspiracies against small-scale miners in Balabag, Philippines. The goal was to discredit TVIRD and force them to give up their mineral production sharing agreement in Balabag so that the small-scale miners will have exclusive possession over the area for their illegal mining operations. Date: January 2013. Victim: Bumi. Description: Salman Tan, chairman of Bumi, one of the world's largest mining companies, got phished by a person who claimed to be working for Wikipedia. Documents related to Bumi's finances and private email conversations were stolen. Date: May 2013. Victim: Anglo-American. Description: Anonymous, as part of their Operations Green Rights campaign against companies accused of being responsible for destroying nature and ancient cultures, attacked Anglo-American, the world's largest producer of platinum. Anonymous breached the company's websites and leaked sensitive data online. Information leaked includes PII, credentials, and investor information. Date: October 2013. Victim: Brazil's Mines and Energy Ministry. Description: documents leaked by former NSA contractor Edward Snowden purported Western spy agencies targeted phone calls and email conversations to and from Brazil's Mines and Energy Ministry. Date: May 2014. Victim: Alcoa Inc. and Allegheny Technologies Inc. Description: aluminium maker Alcoa Inc. and metal supplier Allegheny Technologies Inc. were identified as victims of hacker attacks originating from Asia. Alcoa and Allegheny did not disclose the hacking incidents to the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, because the thefts weren't material to their business and hence disclosure was not mandatory as per SEC rules. Commercial espionage was the most likely goal behind these cyber attacks. Date: February 2015. Victim: Nautilus Minerals and Marine Assets Corporation. Description: Canada's Nautilus Minerals and Dubai-based marine solutions company Marine Assets Corporation, MAC, were victims of a cyber scam that resulted in Nautilus paying a $10 million deposit intended for MAC into an unknown bank account. Date: April and May 2015. Victim: Detour Gold Corp. Description: Canadian gold mining company, Detour Gold Corp. was hacked by a group that calls themselves the Angels_of_truth. 100 GBs plus worth of data was stolen from the Detour Gold networks. 18 GBs of compromised documents were shared on a torrent site. Date: June 2015. Victim: Codan. Description: Australian communications, metal detection, and mining technology. Technology firm Codan reported sales and prices of the firm's metal detectors have collapsed after hackers stole its designs and began manufacturing counterfeit metal detectors. Date: November 2015. Victim: International Mineral Resources. Description: International Mineral Resources, IMR, filed a lawsuit claiming rivals Eurochem Volga Cayley hired New York City law firm Salisbury and Ryan to dig up information on IMR after a mining business deal went bad. Salisbury and Ryan allegedly hired a former Soviet military counterintelligence officer to conduct a hacking campaign against IMR. Date: February 2016. Victim: the New South Wales Department of Industry, Resources and Energy. Description: hackers targeted the New South Wales Department of Industry, Resources and Energy. They unsuccessfully attempted to access confidential information related to mining approvals. Date: February 2016. Victim: Ukrainian mining company. Description: Black Energy and another apt campaign, Sandworm, were discovered as the likely perpetrators behind outages at two power generation facilities in Ukraine in December 2015. Black Energy and Killdisk were discovered in attempted similar cyber attacks against a mining company and a large railway operator also in Ukraine. Date: April 2016. Victim: Goldcorp. Description: the Canadian gold mining firm Goldcorp suffered a major data by the hackers leaked 14.8 GBs of data online by publishing a document on Pastebin with a URL address to a full torrent download. The archive includes employee PII and financial data. Figure 15: geographic locations of cyber attacks on mining companies. Canada: Goldscore, Detour Gold, Potash Corp. Brazil: Alcoa, United Arab Emirates, Nautilus Minerals, Canadian company, operating in Dubai. Ukraine: Ukrainian mining company. Philippines: TV, Resource Development, Canadian company operating in Dubai. Malaysia: Linus. Australia: Codan, New South Wales Government. Top malware threats against industries. Using Trend Micro's Smart Protection Network, we collected customer infection data for 3 industries that are subject to daily cyber attacks: energy, manufacturing, and oil and gas, for Y2015. Smart Protection Network does not have a separate industry categorization for mining. The data collected is representative of Trend Micro's customer base and may not accurately represent the threat landscape, but still provides a good approximation of the general trends. From the Smart Protection Network data, we can make the following observations. ADW_Open Candy is the top threat detected in all 3 industries. This is an adware module that is normally bundled with free software and is installed by default if the user simply clicks Next during the installation process. OpenCandy can change the default homepage, desktop background, and default search engine. It also installs unwanted toolbars or plugins, extensions in the browser. OpenCandy transmits information about the user and their browsing habits to third parties without consent. mal_OTORUN, mal_HIFRM, and CRCK_keygen infections are predominant across all three industries. mal_OTORUN detects worms that propagate using removable USB storage devices by relying on the autorun or autoplay feature in Windows. This feature enables removable media such as CDs and removable drives to start automatically upon insertion or connection to the system. mal_HIFRM detects the presence of malicious iframes in web pages. CRCK_keygen detects cracking applications that may be unknowingly installed from a malicious, compromised website or manually installed by the user. These applications generate fake serial numbers to crack into programs that need valid serial numbers to function fully. Adware infections dominate all three industries. This could be because the adware modules are bundled together with free software or was installed without user consent by a malicious, compromised website. In addition to displaying annoying advertisements, adware may change the browser homepage, change the default search engine, install browser plugins or toolbars, and transmit information about the user and their browsing habits to third parties without consent. Malware used in targeted cyber attacks would never show up in a pie chart of top 20 malware for Y2015. This is because the success of targeted attacks depends on stealth, and the attackers go to great lengths to ensure their malware remains undetected by security scanners. It is very interesting to observe the absence of ransomware in the top 20 malware list across all three industries. Ransomware may be using adware as their initial infection vector, and blocking the adware prevents further malware infections. Or, we may need to expand the malware list beyond top 20 to find ransomware infections cases. Industrial control systems, a weak point for the mining industry. ICS in mining operations. Autonomous mining operations started in the early 1990s. By the mid-90s, equipment suppliers were offering buyers effective options for automating equipment. Technology such as GPS, remote sensing, wireless communications, and high-speed telecommunications made automation viable. Automation is suited to a number of key mining operations such as production drilling and the real-time recognition of materials being drilled. Automated materials handling using equipment like haul trucks, loaders, diggers, shovels, conveyors, and sizers. Automated and accurate movement of equipment, monitoring of moving parts for maintenance and diagnostic intervention. SCADA, Distributed Control System, DCS, Programmable Logic Controller, PLC, Remote Terminal Unit, RTU, Improvised Explosive Devices, IED, actuators, and sensors are extensively used to automate processes at mine sites and mineral processing facilities. Examples of automation in mining are autonomous haulage systems installed in haul trucks carry excavated ore rocks to the ore crushing facilities. Accurate positioning is important for the remote operations of automated haul trucks. On-board sensors such as RTK-GNSS, odometers, inertial guidance, radar, laser, vision, sonar, etc. Generate real-time maps of the mine environment, geometry and geology around these trucks so they can be remotely operated. Command and control, C2, systems control autonomous vehicles at the mine sites. C2 systems handle real-time telemetry data collection and processing for vehicle monitoring and control purposes. The C2 systems also monitor and report vehicle performance and maintenance data. Collision avoidance and geo-fencing systems are used in the mine sites to prevent collisions and accidents by autonomous vehicles. Remotely controlled, via line of sight or teleoperated, dozers and excavators are used to safely perform mining tasks in hazardous environments. Process Knowledge Systems, PKS, control different mining operations to help maximize production, reduce operating costs, and increase profits while improving safety, reducing risks, and minimizing resource requirements. Mining companies can automate the environmental, geotechnical, and vibration monitoring of slope movements, excavations, tunnels, and adjacent structures via sensors that record seismic activity and the result of groundwater investigations and check the presence of poisonous gas. Unified monitoring systems aggregate real-time site condition data from the different on-site sensor networks. Real-time analysis of mineral material composition using laser-induced breakdown spectroscopy, LIBS, technology installed above conveyor belts. Level, positioning, volume, pressure, and flow measurements using wired or wireless, sonar, electromagnetic, radar, and vibration sensors. Automated systems are also used in underground longwall mining. For instance, in the remote assessment of rock burst hazards in the longwall areas of mines, in electro-hydraulic control systems that support hydraulic cylinders and props in underground mining, and in pilot-controlled or fully automatic electro-hydraulic servo valves. Motion sensors are accelerometers for automated drilling equipment using a variety of technologies such as vibration, inertial, seismic, and tilt sensing are also in use. Conveyor belt monitoring, control, and communication systems monitor and control conveyor belts several kilometers in length. Conveyor applications include coal, ore loaders, longwalls, crushers, and materials handling. ICS environments face constant threats of cyber attacks. Potential ICS vulnerabilities affect various areas of operations. Any organization relying on industrial control systems need to employ a comprehensive plan to mitigate any risks at the different level of operations. We will be exploring industrial control security in a separate publication in greater detail. Exposed ICS devices on the Internet. Shodan is a search engine for Internet-connected devices. The basic unit of data that Shodan gathers is the banner. The banner is textual information that describes a service on a device. For web service this would be the headers that are returned, or for Telnet it would be the login screen. As part of premium subscription, Shodan has an image search database at https://images.shodan.io/ to browse screenshots it has collected. Screenshots are collected from 3 different sources: Virtual Network Computing, VNC, Real-Time Streaming Protocol, RTSP, and webcams. We conducted searches through the Shodan image search database looking for examples of human-machine interface, HMI, controlling ICS devices, where the HMIs were exposed on the internet. In this section we present some of the more interesting HMI screenshots that we collected. An important consideration to keep in mind: exposed HMI does not mean the system was compromised but was poorly configured. Also, by virtue of being exposed on the internet, the system is vulnerable to compromise. Note: internet-exposed HMIs were not accessed. All screenshots of internet-exposed HMIs were collected through Shodan. The screenshots show exposed HMIs for carbon dioxide, CO2, sensors, water pumps, a milling machine, compost tank, water treatment plant, and the conveyor belt. Shodan is a publicly available search engine, and anyone can access information about exposed ICS devices. Someone with nefarious intentions could easily abuse this information to attack exposed ICS devices. Shodan explicitly searches for exposed ICS devices by looking for ports and other metadata unique to ICS communications protocols. The screenshots show exposed HMIs for carbon dioxide, CO2, sensors, water pumps, a milling machine, compost tank, water treatment plant, and the conveyor belt. Shodan is a publicly available search engine, and anyone can access information about exposed ICS devices. Someone with nefarious intentions could easily abuse this information to attack exposed ICS devices. Shodan explicitly searches for exposed ICS devices by looking for ports and other metadata unique to ICS communications protocols. We also downloaded GeoIP data for all devices tagged as category ICs by Shodan and plotted them together with known mining locations in Google Earth. The goal was to visualize the volume of ICS devices exposed in the immediate vicinity of mines. In the following screenshots, the yellow squares represent mines, the red pins represent exposed ICS devices, and the green squares represent major population centers like cities or large towns. From the Google Earth map plots, we make the following observations. The vast majority of the mines are situated in remote locations and have very few exposed ICS devices in their immediate vicinity. The majority of the exposed ICS devices are located in population centers such as large towns and cities. Modern mines are heavily automated, and their ICS control centers are typically located in population centers hundreds or thousands of kilometers away from the mining sites. An HMI system physically located in the control center, which remotely controls ICS devices at the mine site, could be exposed on the internet, thus jeopardizing operations at the mine. The United States, US, plot is a bit difficult to discern because of the many population centers scattered all over the states. On closer inspection we discovered that the US data also follows the expected trend. Majority of the mines are situated in remote locations and there are very few ICS devices exposed in the immediate vicinity of the mines. There is a high probability that there are non-ICS devices exposed at the mine sites. Those devices could be servers, desktops, mobile devices, etc. They can be targets for sensitive data theft, or can be used as an initial entry point and lateral pathway into the corporate network. Defense and protection in mining facilities. Protection of facilities dealing with natural resources. In today's competitive global market for commodities and manufactured goods, The reliance on natural resources for economic development and fluctuating geopolitical climates have all contributed to making industries targets for cyber espionage campaigns, and in extreme cases disruptive and destructive cyber attacks. These cyber espionage campaigns are geared towards ensuring interest groups have access to the latest technical knowledge and intelligence so they can maintain competitive advantage and thrive in a market-driven global economy. Cyber campaigns are also used for conducting carefully planned strategic or retaliatory cyber attacks against a nation's critical infrastructure. Cyber attack and data breach prevention strategies should be considered an integral part of daily business operations. Ultimately, no defense is impregnable against determined adversaries. Cyber attacks and data breaches are inevitable. Having effective alert, containment, and mitigation processes are critical. The key principle of defense is to assume compromise and take countermeasures. Quickly identify and respond to ongoing security breaches. Contain the security breach and stop the loss of sensitive data. Preemptively prevent attacks by securing all exploitable avenues. Apply lessons learned to further strengthen defenses and prevent repeat incidents. Top 5 Defensive Strategy Recommendations. Based on our research findings on the different types of cyber threats faced by the mining industry, we make recommendations for the implementation of 5 defensive strategies that we consider a mandatory minimum for mining companies. 1. Network segmentation. Segment the network into distinct security zones and implement layers of protection to isolate critical parts of the network. The Purdue model is an excellent guide for network segmentation where the corporate network requires access to the control ICS network. 2. Patch management. Continuously acquire, assess, and take action on new information in order to identify vulnerabilities, remediate and/or apply software patches, and minimize the window of opportunity for attackers. 3. Access control. This is a broad topic that covers all aspects of controlling access to networks, critical assets, e.g., data, resources, systems, devices or services, including physical and electronic access, according to the formal determination of who, or have needs and rights to access assets based on an approved classification.
4. Intrusion detection. The first order of business for targeted attacks is entry inside the organization's network. The second order of business for targeted attacks is leveraging the initial entry point to laterally move within the network and compromise other systems. All systems require some method of monitoring system activity and identifying potentially malicious events in the network. Without this ability to monitor a system, minor security issues will remain undetected until they become critical security incidents.
5. Incident planning and response. A comprehensive cyber incident response plan should include both proactive measures and reactive measures. Proactive measures are those that can help prevent incidents or better allow the organization to respond when one occurs, whereas reactive measures can help detect and manage an incident once it occurs. Conclusion. We have explored aspects of the mining industry that are relevant to cyber espionage and attack campaigns in order to understand why the mining industry has become a target and what threat actors are trying to gain by attacking mining companies. The modern mining company is a transnational corporation running highly coordinated production operations across multiple sites, in multiple countries with varied geopolitical climates, all the while responding to the demand and supply needs of a market-driven global economy. There are 3 main factors that explain why the mining industry is a viable and important target. 1. The increasing and continued importance of commodities as traded entities on international markets. 2. Reliance on natural resources for economic development, and 3. The need for countries to benefit from their own mineral deposits. This makes the mining industry both a geopolitical and an economic target. Conversely, threat actors have learned to 1. Leverage the significant role that mining commodities play in regional and global supply chains and for national economies, and 2. To exploit the weaknesses that mining companies are exposed to due to heavy reliance on integrated and automated systems. Comparing attacks targeted at the mining industry with attacks on other industries, be they financial, retail or hospitality, the main difference we see is that attacks on the former are far more focused on espionage as opposed to immediate financial gains. The stolen intellectual property and other proprietary information, such as pricing data, of course, can result in long-term monetary gain. Foremost, however, they are used to influence and manipulate competitive dynamics in favor of interest groups, gain an advantage over the competition or even weaken an entire nation's economy. The motivation to get a hold of such information points towards what actors might have an interest in undertaking such actions. In the course of the paper, we have outlined specific threats and the geopolitical impact that IT security and the mining industry have to thoroughly understand when defending their ecosystem.